Day 3, the kata is Heian Nidan. I've slowed it right down as always for the first one so that you can follow along with the moves, and even if you just watch this again and again, you'll have a good understanding of the kata, at least in the techniques. So that's not me with a swagger, that's me slowing down, and it's me very tired because this is number 25 of 26. So prepare the hands, drop the height and make Heian Uki in back stance. Take the top hand and we uppercut. Then we hammer fist, staying in the stance. Apologise for the poor stance, I'm very tired and it's a grass, fine footing. Prepare hands and make Heian Uki again in back stance. Take top hand, uppercut, and then back. Notice how I'm using my hips, I'm sticking my hands out. The back leg steps to halfway up, prepare the hands, lift the leg, side, snap kick, and then land with that foot into back stance with a chop stoki. You're going to step forward one more time, stoki. Preferably without a bent wrist like me. And then you're going to step again, pressing down, and then stabbing, same hand, same leg. Take the back leg, turn around the wrong way, or the right way in Shotokan Karate, prepare the hands, back stance, and then step to the angle, back stance. I look at the camera to make sure I'm in shot, it's not part of the moves. We then step and chop, and then again to the angle. The hand that is back, see, the front leg still remains the front leg in front stance, but the back hand inside block, so now you have the opposite hand. Kick off the right leg, and punch off the left hand. Then use that same hand again to make an inside block. You can't see this because my back is to the camera, but you'll see this on other takes. Now the right leg is behind, kick with that. No, sorry, that's the left leg, and then punch with the right hand. So it's still the opposite. And then as I step forward, inside block with the hand covering it, assisted block in front stance. Turning, downward sweeping block, prepare the front hand, step to the angle, rising block, weight shift behind, prepare the hands, downward block, front hand prepares, rising block, and that's also a ki point. Right, now you're going to see it done a little faster. So this is my 26th out of 26 attempt. So you bow, and then you name your kata, which is Heian Nidan, and I'll mark the ki points. Ki there. And ki there. Okay, I'm going to give you all the performances I did, completely unedited. I think at one point I stepped in cat poo. Good luck with your
Today's kata is
karate.
Heian Nidan.
Remember, you don't have
did
to
go
watch
to
all
the
of
parks
this
morning to try and record.
You don't have to do
too busy.
this 26 times.
I don't really
do
want
26
to
of
be
your
around
favourite.
big crowds today,
Okay?
so I'm
One
going to do it
day,
in the back garden.
a different kata.
There's not much space, so I might have to treat it a little bit different. So I'm glad I've picked Heian Nidan out of an envelope. It's a training kata as opposed to an advanced. For me, this kata is about using your hips. Because I'm using the iPad rather than the phone, I might have to mute while I perform and then turn it back up in editing. So I'm going to do it a little different. Rather than do the full kata, I'm going to do it section by section about, I think, 6 times. So I'm going to do section 1, section 2, section 3, I'm going to etc, etc, and then you can learn from that. So section 1, point to note, keep that straight. Many students have that dipping. Okay, so this one, palm out. I want the wrists about level with the eyes, and then this one up. When you do move 2, you're going to uppercut, but if you go too wide, anyone that's ever uppercut for real and someone pushes against the joint or you hit something you're not supposed to, it will tear all of these muscles. So instead, start the twist, dip the elbow, and push. Okay? And then as soon as you've made contact, then use the hammer fist. Lead with the elbow, pull the hand back, and strike out. Repeat on the other side. So lift this nice and high, not backwards, in. This one, straight. Start twisting the wrist, push the elbow, and then push the elbow on the other side. Okay, and then when you're kicking, bring the hand back to kushikamai, which is what I call the children a cup and a saucer. So there's your saucer, fist, and a cup on top. And then you're kicking behind, striking with the back of your fist. So the first two are hammer fists, the second one is a back fist. Stances, back stance, kicking with your right leg, landing in back stance. Okay, and stoki. I'm going to stop now so I can mute in between, so you don't have to hear this with me. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of only one section. So next section, I should have my left hand chopping in back stance. So I'm going to chop again, back stance, chop again, back stance, press and stab, turn around, chop, 45-degree angle, chop, still in back stance. Use the same hand to chop and back through, chop. It'll make sense when I do it. In this section there is one front stance and one section where you push the front leg to make a front stance in one line. So technically there's two front stances. A one line one and then a straight one. I'm going to do it 6 times and I'll do the first one slow so you can see the two one line stances. So I'm sliding all over the place, a bit wet grass. Okay, so section 3 is my descent. And for this, you're going to be using more opposites. So occasionally you're going to have one leg forward with the other arm. So I take my left chop, and then I take my back hand underneath, get the elbow pointing forward, and then inside block. One of my criticisms sometimes with people's versions is taking that like a lasso effect around like a whip. Now, if you just put your arm out and hold onto the bicep of the person doing this, it takes too long to get there. And it's very easy to pin. No matter how big the person is, it becomes easier. So if you've got natural size and strength, then you just got rid of it. So you just put your hand out and hold. So the bigger this is, as soon as you see that, just put your hand out and trap that on. So instead, just get your elbow to point forward. Treat it like a block. It's only a training kata. Then you'll have the left leg forward, so it'll mismatch. Right hand, left leg. Kick off the back leg, punch off the other hand, and then you'll have the opposite leg. And then bring the hand back, and then block again. Kick off the back leg, punch off the back hand, bring hand back, and pull out. Okay. And then again the angle blocks. Downward, prepare, rising. Reuse the hand. Downward, prepare, rising. Okay. So 6 times this last section. So the next 4 times, 7, 8, 9 and 10, I'm going to do it complete kata. I'm going to think about the hips. So this is a hip sort of training kata. So I need to think about my hanmi and my shomen, and my gyako hanmi. So hips pulled back, hips driven forward, and hips pushed counter. Okay, so my breakfast repeating on me. In front stance. Treat your belly button with my karate noise. Pulling the hips back, bending this back leg, having some life, and then squeezing, pushing, driving forwards, hips forwards, shoulder. And generally when you start, hanmi and shomen is off the back leg, right? Whereas gyako hanmi is off the front knot of hip. So in order to achieve it, I've got to squeeze and pull back on this side. Yes. So hanmi, shomen, okay. If you perform the kata and the front leg rides up naturally, it's perfectly acceptable. If you pull your front leg in artificially, this is not acceptable because you're just creating drama for drama's sake. It's pantomime. So what I mean by that, and get this in Basai, you pull this leg in no clue whether that was a natural or unnatural movement, so avoid it at this stage. When you're advanced, you can make those decisions. However, if you're so violent with your hip pulling back that the leg's buckling and you need to pull it, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to do it slowly so I can think of the hips. I'll get faster. Of course, I'm on unshaky ground, very slippy. I said this would be unedited. I just stepped in cat poo. I'm just going to clean it up. Okay, cat poo. Attempted to clean up and wash my hands, etc. It's time to 9 and 10. Okay, so this is more like my working, but one of the reasons why I'm doing this is it's a challenge, but also I get to think about my own kata. And the problem with doing this for 36 years and being a fully grown adult that is short, I study Shotokan, not what do you, and my blocks are a little bit too high. And they're high because I've used them. In the dojo, I fight bigger people because I'm a shorter person. So all of my inside blocks are just that little bit too high. So even though I do it for real, I should always, when teaching, do it for standard. So now for the next 4, I'm going to teach for standard, and I'm going to fix some of my mistakes. So number 1, I block too high. Number 2, when I'm kicking, I'm very flexible in the front kick. I kick a little bit too high, and I'm not thinking about kicking somebody. And on the second kick, I'm not squeezing the thighs together. I'm kicking too open. I don't think I'm preparing enough on the last block as well. So what I'm going to try and do on these next few, block a little lower to make sure that the block is underneath my shoulder for textbook standard. Squeeze my thighs together when I kick a little bit lower. And I'm also going to prepare on my last block. So let's see if that helps my performance. I'll see a quick drink. It's my favourite mug. Let's go. I'm going to add something else when I'm turning on the chops. After the first ki, I'm not squeezing together to the middle, I'm sort of going to my stance. The thing is, when you've done kata for so long, you know where the end move is, so you can cut a few corners to get there. You shouldn't do that. So remember to keep this as mechanical as possible. So on those 4 chops before I go back down, I've got to make sure, and I'll draw attention, I'll give you 2 thumbs up when I'm working on. I need to squeeze my thighs together to come through the middle, not go to the outside. Okay. My reverse punches are too high. Straight is Jordan, below straight is Chudan. So I've got to make sure my punches are below straight. Okay? Bit. Okay, so my next 6 are going to be fragmented again. I think I'm going to look at the long ways. So I'm going to look at the kick to chop, 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 press, stab. I'm going to look at the chop to inside block, kick, punch, block, kick, punch, block section. And then I'll finish that off by doing the bits I missed 6 times as well. So again, fragmented. I'm going to look at the linear, they're going up the dojo. So most Heian Kata, well, all Heian Kata goes to the left, to the right, and then straight up. They do something and then they come back down. Heian Godan goes a little bit more up and down, and Heian Nidan has some extra sides, there's more angles. But fundamentally, Heian goes to the left, the right, straight up, something there, come down, maybe something at the end, finish. Okay, if you notice, there's 2 sticks behind me. I use those sticks to keep my kick in the centre. That's why I've got them there. And I'll show you why. Really important. Move 7, step to one leg, kick on the outside of the stick. Bring to wrong leg, kick outside of other stick. Bring to the middle, prepare the hands, lift the leg, kick between the sticks. Okay, very simple tool, but if I kick on the outside of either stick or kick a stick, then the kick is offline. So I'm not kicking the person, I'm kicking somebody at an angle. Okay, so that's a useful tool. Alright, I'm going to go lengthways of the garden. 2 reasons. I think I'm churning up my grass. I didn't want to do karate on the grass because I'd churn it up, but don't tell the why. Too open. Yeah, so I came from here to open. So I've really got to try to come through that middle, squeeze the thighs, push. Right? Number 1. Too narrow, so I can't push that hip in. So the wider stance, more the hips can squeeze. The narrower the stance, when you squeeze, the front knee will buckle. Change the timing, don't do that. Now for 6 times the angles. I'm going to press stop again because it's got quite windy, so it'll be blown into the microphone, so I can mute it. But I'm going to do the angles. Angle chops, angle downward blocks, rising blocks. when practicing in trainers on slippy grounds, the feet have to grip. So you might notice that your feet feel fatigued. The muscles above your toes, particularly the two little ones around there, are having to grip. Because in order for me to not fall over during a back stance, which is a wedge trap, you've got to use grippy muscles inside your inside your shoes. So be mindful. If you've got poor feet, perhaps better to have a harder floor. In fact, the concrete would be better in trainers than the grass. I should go and get my trail shoes. However, I've still got 6 more openings to do to finish this kata off. So I'm going to blast on with those. I might even edit this to be a fast motion. Whether you want to see this, I don't know. I'll go close up so you can see better. Number 1, position your feet out, but not too far. Don't position your feet forwards. It does make a better back stance, but you've got to think about getting that foot in by yourself, okay? So, although this will set you up, it won't really. Okay, thinking about that. Number 2, timing. Make sure you pause on those Heian Ukis, and then make sure you roll these 2 moves together with a sense that you're hitting something. So, the advanced student would go straight into the kick from there. The less advanced student pause a little bit. Make sure it's mechanically correct. Okay, number 3, head. Don't bring your head down, lift your chin up. I know I don't do this, but I'm going to try now. Don't look at it with one eye. Try and turn your head fully. Okay? Number 3. Oh, that was number 3. Number 4. Okay, number 5. I know because of the grass, I'm not going big toe forward. I'm going little toe forward, turn slightly into wedge so that my knees are protected. In the dojo, don't do this. Because you've got a nice even floor to rely upon. Some of this grass has big dips in it. So this one here, dip, dip. So I have to be mindful that I don't want to go into a dip and twist my ankle. However, when you do it for real, go with the big toe and wedge the foot, not like a front stance with the little toe. Anyway, number 5. Finally, number 6. Oh, what am I thinking about? Putting all that together. Breathing now, I think. Get good. You know, breathing is a controversial thing in kata. Personally, if the breath is unnecessary, it should be reprimanded. But if there's no breath, it should equally be reprimanded. Anyone that artificially breathes to enhance their technique, there's no point. So therefore, you should get no points. You should be deducted points. Okay, that's how I feel. Anyone wants to argue, but if you watch a boxer and as they punch, this is necessary. Thai boxers, you know, breathing helps. So don't neglect it. Don't hold your breath. And also on the second point, breathe in, body back. Breathe out, body forward. And what are you doing in kata? You're going body forward. So you need to breathe out purely to make sure you're going in the right direction. So you should be down marked if you don't breathe, because technically your body is misaligned with your action, and you should be disaligned if you, because it will encourage artificial stopping points, because you'll want to stop with the breath. So you don't, if a breath goes, yeah, you'll be going through the breath. They're quite easy to measure. But if a breath goes, you probably will stop in your body, unless you're really complex with rhythms, when the happens, not when the last part happens. What I mean is, if you have a stamp and a breath, what you're doing is you're limiting your length of stance anyway. It's just through trial and error that you know your length of stance. so it's just coincidence. But if you wanted to elongate it or shorten it, if you wanted to be coached, you couldn't do this through artificial breath. It's near impossible. Yeah, it's like burping and sneezing and trumping at the same time. You've got to stop. Okay, so last one, breathing, head, foot position because it's nice and stable, arms, and timing. That wobble is because I tensed, because I'm densing, the body locks. And when the body locks, if you're not in a stable position, it wobbles. So the stance wasn't good enough. Okay. So I have 6 more kata to do, so I'm just going to do them in their entirety. I'm going to be thinking about hips, head, punching lower, coming through the middle, foot position, breathe. What you should concentrate on at the beginning is get the moves right, but get the moves well. If you have to pull the kata apart like I've done, go for it, okay? If you're watching this in its full video, you'll notice that some of these later katas will be at the beginning. This is to give you the moves and then you can go through the notes with me. Right, half an hour should take you to do, well, if you're doing it at speed, you should be able to do 26 Heian katas in about 20 minutes, but that's with full speed, not many breaks, bits of water. Mine plus notes is taking about 35 minutes, so it's not a long ask, not like the long katas. I'm not looking forward to the Goji Shio shows. Okay, but let's go. 6 kata. 20. Land on the sandpit. So I kick. What you don't know is there's a sandpit there. As always, 25 is done slow so that I can pull it apart so I can do a tuition video. 26 will be done at speed. Might not be the best, Bear in mind I've done 25 of this, okay? So here we go, last two. Final one. 26.